Alright, hello everyone and welcome now to game 2 in the series. It is still gonna be between, it is still gonna be between EDO versus Samdan here on Ancient Isle 2. I do feel much better if you guys are wondering. Sorry about game 1. The new way that I record videos doesn't allow me to pause nearly as easily. And because of that, I was getting a little bit tired toward the end. I do apologize. But then again, I hope you guys, if you'll stick with, you guys have stuck with me for so long, I appreciate you guys doing so. Now, Samdan opening up over here on the top left-hand side of the map as the orange human player. Meanwhile, bottom right-hand side of the map, EDO as the teal undead. Undead versus human, and we'll see what's going to happen here on game 2. Game 1 was rather unexciting for a little while up until the very end. Not a lot of engagement, just a lot of creeping, a lot of avoidance, and a lot of just trying to macro up. Very rarely do I see players actually get up onto 4 bases. So it was like a 4 base versus a 3 base, and players were just like sitting back, relaxing, chilling, like, yeah, I'm gonna get all my upgrades and do everything and then come at you. But that's not normally what you see in a game of Warcraft. Normally you see small skirmishes eventually lead into large battles and a lot of focus on heroes. So hopefully that does stay true this time, as we now see one footman make his way out and perhaps do a little bit of scouting. That footman, sword and shield in hand, is going to come down on the far side and take a look, and it will be a Death Knight versus, I believe, an Archmage. So yes, Archmage versus Death Knight. Classic matchup here. Not quite sure why it isn't a Paladin versus a Death Knight for the classic matchup, but I guess that's just the way it is. Now, apparently footmen don't like sheep either. Gonna go ahead and try to take down that sheep. Perhaps that corpse will go away before the Rod of Necromancy will be used. Here we go, militia being called over. 5-3-3 creep camp. Ogre Magi gonna be the first to be taken out. Meanwhile, footmen now gonna try to avoid a lot of ghouls. Those ghouls are chasing, and it looks as though the Death Knight is going to be getting Death Coil as his first ability instead of Unholy Aura. Not going to be able to get a good surround, and just getting some nice and easy damage onto those ghouls. You can now see Archmage at level 1, Claws of Attack +6, a very nice item to start off the game. Plus 6 attack to enhance his damage, and we'll see what he decides to creep off next to get up to level 2. Meanwhile, ghouls are going up against the Ogre Magi here. Ogre Magi has already fallen. It looks as though EDO is a little bit behind, but already has gloves of haste for himself. Meanwhile, footman now trying to do a little bit of harassment. There is a ghoul nearby, and EDO now slowing down his overall economy as that acolyte is wandering around on the inside still. Archmage about to get to, or already at level 2, as it has cleared out a level 1 creep, and now gonna finish off this Null Brute as well. So I believe it is a level 2 versus a level 1. The Death Knight and the Archmage simply passing by each other in the middle. The Death Knight wants to make sure that there is not an expansion coming down. There is not at this time, as the Archmage now goes after a Crypt Fiend after the Crypt Fiend has taken down a footman. Archmage dealing some damage back over here to the Death Knight. We'll see what, not the Death Knight. Yeah, no problem getting back home. Gonna regroup with a lot of Crypt Fiends. 2 Crypt Fiends already, as the Water Elemental just doing a little bit of poking with that little, I guess, shooting a water. I'm not exactly sure how a Water Elemental doesn't like get smaller if he continues to throw water at someone. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the game here. Red Drake now gonna absorb some damage, or perhaps try to attack that Water Elemental. The Water Elemental is going to tank a lot of the damage. We are now going into a Troll Berserker, and I think Samdan is going to come out very, very much ahead. However, he may lose a footman here. A Troll Shadow Priest has been hired, and now with this Red Drake getting taken down, and it should give level 3, but no, the Troll Shadow Priest may fall. What item is this? Scourge Bone Chimes, not the best of items for an Archmage, but it does at least give him level 3 after clearing out this creep camp. So the mercenary camp has been cleared out. Death Knight now a little bit behind, and Samdan taking a very nice creep advantage, and we'll see if he will translate that into perhaps a full-blown win. Archmage dropping down another Water Elemental. The Null Warden needs to get attacked first so that it does not purge that Water Elemental. Water Elemental up to 675 hit points still, tanking a lot of that damage like it should. The Null Overseer gonna just poke at it, and now even the Militia joining in on the fight. Perhaps the Footmen should continue to attack instead of pulling away. as we now see a Boots of Speed being dropped. So Samdan getting lucky, going to be able to pick up Boots of Speed, but now in comes, 4 Crypt Fiends and a Death Knight. Death Knight now looking to deal a bit of damage, but the Footmen do have Defend. Defend is working for the human player, as the human player able to block and reflect some of those attacks. Death Knight down to 73 hit points, as we are now going into a Town Hall and also 1 Scout Tower. Back over here, and the Death Knight down to 53 hit points, and things are going extremely well for Samdan. Samdan now in just massive control of this game, as he is forcing a retreat. The Footmen do still have Defend. They are able to regenerate the hit points. Regenerate their hit points as they take damage, as the Death Knight forced to use a level 1 Death Coil to try and heal some units. Now the Death Knight desperately needs a slaughterhouse in order to get an obsidian statue. The Death Knight is slowly regenerating. It will regenerate on the Blight a little bit better. As you can see, that number scrolls up very quickly. Also, Unholy Aura gives you a 50% regeneration aura as well. So that Death Knight really helping, or really just going to be able to regenerate a lot of those hit points a little bit more quickly than, say, a human player inside their base if they didn't have a shop. No Overseer will go down. Water Elemental, I believe that is a fresh Water Elemental. Yep, taking a lot of damage here, as we are now going into a Lich tier. We are now taking the tier 2 for Samdan as well. He is going to be a little bit behind, as now in comes the attack. Defend on those Footmen. Footmen doing a great job here, as the Death Knight does get by a potion of healing. Level 4 now on the Archmage. So level 4 versus level 2. That is going to be a lot of Water Elementals dropping down. 1 Footman does get taken down. Death Knight now sitting at level 2. Is it going to be able to get up to level 3? And if it does get up to level 3, things are going to go really bad, or going to start swinging in favor of Th000, as Th000 will have level 2 Death Coil, allowing him to heal up a little bit more easily. Footman still doing a great job, but now another Death Coil finishing off another Footman there. The Footman now need to undefend, perhaps redefend here in just a second, as the Death Knight now going straight after the Troll Berserker. The Troll Berserker has been taken out, and now it's 2 Footmen and a Water Elemental with an Archmage versus a Death Knight and 2 Crypt Fiends. 1 lower hit point Crypt Fiend already coming back home. Lich is nearby, perhaps going to get Frost Nova. Yes, not Frost Armor. Frost Armor would work out fairly well, as those Footmen would be even slower when trying to take off a Crypt Fiend and keep those units alive. Down over here, it looks as though we may be picking up another Troll Shadow Priest. Nope. Samdan utilizing those mercenary camps as a good human player should when he has an economic advantage, and now pushing out Ogre Mauler, a very, very strong tanky unit. Footmen are on defend. Water Elemental is now taking some damage as well. Archmage continuing to try to fight back here, as we now have slow on one of those Crypt Fiends, but Crypt Fiend now getting a nice Death Coil heal. And now we'll see what's going to happen here. Samdan now losing his advantage if he loses this Ogre Mauler. Ogre Mauler is a very, very heavy, expensive unit. And yes, he will, as the Death Knight now getting close to level 4. Water Elemental is now dropping down. Samdan in a bit of trouble. He did take down 1 additional Crypt Fiend, but there is a hero shortage right now, as it is 2 heroes to 1. A Mountain King now just getting trained. Is it going to be enough, as the Crypt Fiend does get taken out? Archmage still battling it up. Archmage sitting at level 4. Halfway to level 5, Death Knight sitting at level 3, halfway to level 4, and that Lich barely any experience, but perhaps these Water Elementals will feed the experience on the Lich, as we now are going into a Clarity Potion on the Archmage here, and now perhaps trying to heal back up. You can see Footmen and Mud Golems off over here. Lower hit point Footmen. Archmage now perhaps going to try to drop down another Water Elemental. The Clarity Potion about to be completed, and we'll see whether or not the towers, yep, the towers here are going to cause some problems. So Mountain King needs to regroup, now using up a healing salve, dropping another Water Elemental, and that 1 Skeleton Warrior will get taken out. So far, Th000 is looking alright. He is a little bit behind right now. Archmage at level 4, getting up to level 5. If he can keep up the Clarity Potions, I believe the Archmage will actually come out ahead, as those Water Elementals at level 5 become very, very potent. They absorb a lot of damage, and they also know how to dish it out, as we now see a bit of a creep jack here. Th000 being forced to pull away. Always bad when your opponent catches you creeping. The creeps start attacking you, and you have a choice of either attacking creeps or running, where the creeps will still attack you, or just taking damage. It looks as though the Null Overseer will fall. Death Knight now getting a Ring of Protection +2. Not that good of an item, but we did see a slow now cast on the Death Knight. Death Knight dangerously low, now turning around, and there's a Stormbolt. So a long distance Stormbolt. The Mountain King may be able to get no Scroll of Town Portal at 20 hit points. Beautifully played. And now the Death Knight does still stay alive. Spellbreakers now being added. Our Obsidian statue also being trained up as well. Masonry upgrades for Th000. So Th000 starting level 2 masonry upgrades. So those scout towers will have, or those guard towers will have 600 hit points and 7 armor. Very nicely done there as the Archmage and Mountain King continue to wander around the map. Additional creeping perhaps needs to be done. Archmage could creep out the Null Overseer camp here. I don't believe he will get to level 5 just because the Mountain King is nearby. The Mountain King won't even get to level 2. Even if the Archmage runs away, it's a 5/4/4. He will get to level 2. And there is also a Wand of Illusion left behind. Death Knight now making a move for perhaps the double Arcane Sanctums off over here. Th000 is spread up a little bit thin. Now we are going to see what happens here as the Mountain King and the Archmage. Nope, only the Mountain King has Boots of Speed. Death Knight sitting at level 3, almost level 4. Lich sitting at level 1, almost level 2. There is still a 6/4/4 creep camp to clear out. Same thing off over here. Nightcrawlers joining in on the fight. It doesn't quite make sense why Murlocs and Trolls would work together, but then again, I didn't ask too many questions. Here we go. Troll Warlord will fall in just a moment. There we go. Wand of the Wind now being left behind, so we are going to be getting some Cyclone action. Cyclone onto the Death Knight, or perhaps the Death Knight while the Lich is low on hit points would be critical, as the Death Knight would not be able to death coil the Lich to save him. And then without that additional nuking ability, things go from bad to worse pretty quickly. Now Mountain King sitting at level 3 does have Stormbolt and Bash. We'll see what the Lich is going to do. Lich has been around longer and is behind in experience. Mountain King now going to just finish off this creep camp here, continuing to bolt, and the Mountain King may get halfway to level 4, surprisingly. Militia now making their way over here, and it looks like this may become another expansion as well, but we are going into a Pandarin Brewmaster, so the Panda, with Breath of Fire, should be able to eat through many of these footmen, but the Spellbreakers in this game are going to be a completely different story. Down this goes. Th000 may be able to finish off this expansion here, and there is only 2 expansion locations. Here we go. Spellbreakers now pushing in. Nerubian Tower taking a lot of damage. Squirrel Town Portal not coming online. Units are now being forced to walk all the way back home. That is not good news at all. Spellbreakers, Mountain King also has Wand of the Wind, so does Death Knight, so we may have an exchange of Cyclones, as now we are going to be getting a Scroll of Town Portal to get the heck out of Dodge. We are going to be losing some units there from some nukes, a Stormbolt on a Ghoul, not enough to take him out, as we now have footmen who are upgraded at 1/1, and it looks like there may be another attack coming in soon. Archmage, Mountain King now getting the trifecta, the human trifecta with the Paladin. The Paladin is a very, very effective unit, as we now see guard towers off over here. We're going to get cleared out. Manual of Health will be picked up by Edo. Nope, not going to be picked up by Edo, as units are now backing off, and we are going into Griffins. Archmage sitting at level 4 still. Mountain King still sitting at level 3, getting closer to level 4. Ring of Regeneration on the Mountain King, so that Mountain King will be very difficult to take out, as his regeneration is apparently Edo is like, hey, why don't we go fight in the middle of the map? And it looks like no, Edo is just gonna find him off over here, catching the units in a little bit of a run. The Troll Berserker now being forced to run away. There's a nuke as the Death Knight now straight here, and now Th000 is saying, give me some time. He's not ready for an engagement, and here we go. A bolt on a Crypt Fiend. Crypt Fiend now goes down. Obsidian statue should be focused down next, as that would take a lot of feedback damage. Holy Light now coming in a Paladin, as the Mountain King is now in the air. Mountain King in the air, that's going to be a problem, as the Mountain King needs to perhaps somehow try to get out. Potion of Lesser Invulnerability is available. Is he going to use it? Not. There we go. Finally using it there, as now the Archmage is in the air. Mountain King perhaps going to get off another Stormbolt here. He does have a Cyclone as well. Now Edo going to lose his Death Knight. Mountain King may get to level 4. Nope. What's going to happen here? Holy Light. Mountain King now trying to run away. Is it going to be able to get away down to 39 hit points, attempting to run away? Crypt Fiends and Panda. What's going to happen here? And what? Okay, I think Th000 said GG. Yeah, I'm really sure Th000 said GG. I can't tell. You guys will have to go back to it. But I think Th000 actually gave up the game when he was ahead. Wow. I wish I knew a little bit more, but yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.